your family wants you to attend an event with your mother or father or both who abused you in childhood, and you're feeling guilty and you're worried about letting them down. The guilt and the letting them down, that's the conditioning that you went through as a child as a result of the abuse. And sometimes when we can break that down and explain it, it helps to alleviate those feelings. As children who are being abused, we're taught that there's something that we're doing to bring that abuse on. We don't understand that the abuse has nothing to do with us, and it's all about who the abuser is, because it's being done to us. And we're being told by the people who are the biggest people in our lives, our parents, that we're damaged and we're bad and everybody knows it and all of these different things. So therefore, we feel like there's something wrong with us that brought that abuse on. How does that translate to guilt? Well, we feel like we did something wrong. And so we live in a world growing up where we constantly carry this guilt for doing something wrong. I mean, things can happen that have nothing to do with us. Tell me if this has happened to you and you feel guilty for it. For example, somebody could tell me that, there was an explosion in a completely different country, way far away from me, and I would be wondering somewhere in my body whether or not I had something to do with that. That's how far out it gets because of the fact that the conditioning runs so deep. The other thing that we're taught is we're not allowed to have emotions, that we're, oversensitive if we even display an emotion. What's that look on your face? That sort of thing. Always being judged for any feeling we might be having. We're taught that we are not allowed to have emotions like everybody else, and then we'll take it a step further. We are also taught, in order to survive our environment, to monitor the emotions of all the people around us, our abusers more specifically, and we learn to adjust our behaviors in order to not bring on the wrath or survive the wrath. I can't tell you how many times I would be at an event, we'll go with event, with my mother where I saw the sideway look or I felt a change in her body language, knowing that there was something that I was doing that brought that on and that I was going to get it. I would alter my behavior. I would get very quiet or try to make myself smaller so that whatever she was going to do to me wouldn't be even that much bigger. Do I know whether or not it impacted the level of what she was going to bring on me was? No, I don't know that. But instinctually, that's what I was doing because I was in survivor mode. So imagine a child all through their childhood going through these two things, feeling guilty that they did something wrong and that they deserved the abuse, and monitoring everybody's emotions. What happens? You don't learn to have your own. You don't learn how to process your own. And more importantly, you don't learn that you have a right to have your own emotions. You're taught that if you prioritize your own needs, that you are selfish. So let me teach you something else. You went no contact with your abusers because they were abusing you. Likely, not only in childhood, which is more than enough of a reason, but also continued in adulthood, where maybe they didn't take ownership or maybe they just simply didn't change their behaviors. For me, with my mother, I would have accepted a relationship with her. I would have been over the moon, so I thought, to have a relationship with her if we never talked about the past and she just acted like a loving mom. I would have gone in with that and left what she did to me in childhood aside just to have that. That's how desperate our need for our parents' love is. So let's go back to flipping this around. I went no contact with my mother. Why would I still allow her to be in my head? Why would I still allow family members to try to connect us and put us together? Why would I betray myself that way? Because I was taught that the only thing I was worth was being betrayed, was not being prioritized, was not being treated with love and care. If you subject yourself to being in a room with your abuser to appease other people, you're betraying yourself. You're not prioritizing your own needs, and you deserve that. I'm not telling you not to go. I just want to give you a different kind of language around you going and what that actually looks like. It isn't about being selfish. It's about taking care of yourself and not betraying yourself and carrying on the abuse that you are trying to stay away from. You can also ask these people, why is it so important for you to have me in a room with someone who hurt me so much? Or maybe just ask yourself why that's so important to them. Is it worth whatever the event is? What will you be left over from that? Like, what is it about this event that is going to have more meaning than your well-being? For them, it's about, not doing the right thing. It's about a facade, because when we do the right thing, we stand in protection of the people that we love. And in my mind, to take that a step further, family isn't about DNA. Family is about the way that people treat you. I don't have a lot of relatives in my life. I have my children. But the reason that I consider my children family is not because of our DNA. It's because of the love that we have within our relationships. That's what family is. And sometimes we stay in these relationships because of the familiarity, because it's hard to go it alone, and I know it is, because it means that we might be left with no one if we don't stay and manage these relationships. But aren't you already left with no one if they're not caring about your needs and standing in protection for you? Like, aren't you already left with no one? Just a little food for thought.